दोस्तों, गुड मॉर्निंग। मैं हूं आपका अजीज मित्र, दोस्त मदन सिंह, and today I'm going to discuss with you something very interesting, the result of the battle for 3 days with Pakistan as per the principles of war. Well, what really happened, triggered this entire thing, was the killing of 26 innocent Hindus in Pahalgam. There were so many methods to deal with it, and one of those was to sanitize the valley completely, which was not done. And the second option was taken to try and teach Pakistan a lesson. I don't know whether Pakistan has been taught a lesson, but it has suffered a mighty blow. The first thing which comes to my mind in the principles of war is a matter of surprise. I think surprise was achieved by the Indian Armed Forces, in particular the Air Force and the Army, because the Navy was not used. And this is a surprise to me because Pakistan knew all along that India is going to mount some form of reprisal or an attack on Pakistan. Perhaps they expected that India will attack one odd base like they did last time in Balakot, and that's it. But this time the Indians did a very good thing. They attacked 9 terrorist camps, and they were in both Punjab and Pakistan occupied Kashmir. It was wonderful. So element of surprise was reached, and the terrorists in these camps, was thinking there's nothing going to happen. Maybe the ones in Kashmir were a little alert, but the ones in Punjab were relaxed. They said, Baba, nothing's going to happen. And that is where they were taken by surprise. And another thing is airmanship, that is professionalism of a very high order was shown by the Indian Air Force and the Army when they hit these camps with precision strikes. And the best of it was that in one of the camps in Punjab, the notorious terrorists who were holed up there, including Hafiz Saeed, 14 members of his family were sent to the next world. They were killed. And Hafiz is supposed to have said, I'm very saddened and I wish I was killed. Well, it's good to talk now, but he was the man who brought retribution, death on the citizens of Bombay when almost 350 people were killed in the terrorist attack almost 15 or 17 years back. So he shouldn't feel any remorse. But then probably he will realize that death is a leveler and he got leveled. The other man caught and killed was a man who had a bounty on his head, and he was the man who had hijacked the IC 814, I think, the flight which was taking off from Kathmandu, and he was responsible for that time a great terrorist act at Kandahar. So he was killed, and many more. And our information is, rather, even from independent sources, that at least 90 terrorists were killed. It's a big blow to the terrorist movement. And I think this is where Pakistan suffered what is known as the knockout blow. After that, it was desultory fight. Desultory fight means India was attacking their bases, they were also attacking, so it was continuing. But the crucial fact we must remember is the killing of 90 terrorists in the strike by the Indian Armed Forces on terrorist camps. And it vindicated Prime Minister Modi's view that we are not at war with Pakistan Army or the people of Pakistan, but we are against the terrorist movement. It's a sad commentary on the world that not a single country supported the Indian terrorist strikes on Pakistan. And they were saying, we condemn terrorism, that's okay, but they failed to condemn Pakistan. And of course, the Americans played a dubious role and they saved Pakistan from what would have been an absolute disaster. The Pakis, of course, expanded, but now we have the news that at least 7 Pakistani fighters, that includes 6 JF-16 and 10, and one F-16, have been shot down. One pilot, I think, has been captured who bailed out in the Punjab, and it's been a very sad occurrence for the Pakistanis. Now, Pakistan is a past master in denial, misinformation, and they claim to the world that they lost. They were able to win or knock down 5 Indian planes in the first day itself. It's a total blatant lie. But then propaganda, as Dr. Goebbels said, a lie repeated 100 times becomes the truth, and that's what Pakistan believes in. But it's to their credit that if they can pass such lies off and the world starts believing it, and that is a very sad day for the world. But the important thing is we bear in mind that the United States, which professes to be a friend of India, was totally on the side of Pakistan. I have not been able to understand why, and one of the reasons how, which I'm able to analyze now, is that they are scared that India will also become a rising power like China, because China was built up by the Americans, and they really don't want another China, a powerful India coming up. So that could be the reason. They not only bailed Pakistan out with $3.2 billion loan, it's not a loan, it's a grant, because Pakistan is not going to pay back anything, and then they went all hog in favor of Pakistan. And earlier, as you know, they had already given some $400 million to Pakistan to upgrade their F-16. And this is after they were claiming, Donald Trump was claiming, that Modi is my friend. So you can just imagine the deception the Americans did. But that's part of the war, parts of war, and India should have been ready with it. Unfortunately, I think we were a little wanting there. We never thought America was going to do such a thing. But always thinking that the opponent is not going to do this, not going to do that, has been the bane of India throughout history. Then, gentlemen, let's have a look at the Pakistani strikes. The Pakistani strikes were audacious. They came to attack a lot of bases from Srinagar, Amritsar, right up to Bhuj. But their results were nullified, and they launched hundreds of drones, and they were all shot down. The Indians had a very good air defense system, and the best was the S-400. India realized what a dramatic effect that air defense system had on the world. It's a wonder and the best in the world, and it's accounted for a lot of damages to the Pakistan Air Force. The Pakistan Air Force went and made a claim that they had shot out the S-400. One of them had made the batteries unserviceable. Well, that's, as I told you, Dr. Goebbels' theory of lies being repeated 100 times. So the fact is that not a single S-400 was shot down. Now, in 3 days of fighting, India had the upper hand. There was no land battle, no naval battle. And that is something which next time the Indian chiefs of staff must think about. Because the aim, I think the Indian aim was not to escalate the conflict. That's what I understand. And it had a limited objective. And other things which we must remember is that concentration of force, this was something which Indians achieved. Unity of command, the Indians achieved. There was cooperation among the 3 armed forces, the Indians achieved. And of course, the most important thing was the furtherance of the political aim, that is the destruction of terrorism, that was also achieved. So Pakistan has learnt a lesson, and probably it has realized that it's not going to have honey and cake every day. And now I come to the biggest plus point. In one of the attacks on the Noor air base in Pakistan which stored some of the nuclear bombs. The Indians never attacked the nuclear centers, but they did, I think, attack the storage tunnel where these weapons were being kept, or these bombs. And I think it was a wonderful strike. The Pakis couldn't do a damn thing about it. And there were some mini explosions, I think, because in the last 3 days of the battle, there were 3 earthquakes in Pakistan, 4.2 on the Richter scale. And likelihood is that this was started off or set off by the nuclear explosions. And there's been a radiation leak, and that's the fact, because the Americans have gone in to check on the radiation, and the surprise is that the Egyptians sent a boron aircraft there to help the Pakis. The Muslim world, as I told you, united in favor of Pakistan, but then sadly, I would say happily for India, the Muslim world is not a force to reckon with. And there are some sane voices there, including Saudi Arabia and the UAE. And this is very significant. And the biggest supporter of Pakistan was Turkey. But Turkey must remember that it is so far away from the scene of battle that it cannot influence anything. The Chinese gave a lot of lip support, that's number one. Number two, they gave them weapons. But I don't think China was militarily ever going to intervene in the fight on the side of Pakistan. They didn't intervene in the last 3 wars, and they wouldn't have done it now. But at the same time, China considers India an enemy. But then they are pragmatic because they got a trade of $150 billion with India, and they're earning $100 billion every year from India. So that's a good ploy by Modi is employed, because it cages the Chinese dragon. But India must be ready for a clash with China anytime. And coming back to the Pakistan war, I would say the skirmish, or whatever you call it, and the battle was called off after 3 days because that's what the Indians had planned, to destroy the terrorist structures. So India showed to Pakistan its face in the mirror when they attacked the Pakistani air bases. Their bases were made unserviceable, big craters on the runways, they could use them, and they were mighty scared. There's no doubt about it. This time the element of fear, that is, fear is the key, was there in the minds of the Pakistanis, and in particular I think General Munir. His image is tarnished in Pakistan, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's ousted from power for having suffered a defeat at the hands of India and for miscalculation in starting this war by sanctioning the killing of Hindus in Pahalgam. One thing is very clear now, that Pakistan will have to think twice before they go into any similar action in Pahalgam again, or in a Pahalgam-like situation again in any place in the valley. And India now must ramp up its boxing strength, and the population there, which is so restive and anti-India, must be sorted out. Sabka vikas, sabka saath is okay, but that is for those people who believe in the Indian constitution, who believe in India. When the Kashmiri people, that is the Muslims, don't believe in India or this, I think we have to strike, and strike for the good of the nation. I will be happy to tell you that there are hundreds and thousands of Muslims in India who swear by India. We had a chief of the air staff who was a Muslim, Air Chief Marshal Idris Hussain Latif, and they were very loyal people. But the Kashmiri Muslims living in a dream world need to be shown their face in the mirror. And the men who are leading them, like Farooq Abdullah, Omar Abdullah and Madam Mufti have to be shown their stature, which is very small. Well, gentlemen, I think this is happy news. India has shown Pakistan what it can do. The world has seen what India can do, and Pakistan will have to think twice. I have reports that Pakistan was mighty scared and they approached the United States for help. And the United States said, "You have a case pending for $3.2 billion. We'll give you that, but you call for a ceasefire." This was a quid pro quo, and the Americans put pressure on Pakistan, and Pakistan were looking for a way out, a face-saving way out, and they got it from Donald Trump. Why Trump should try to save Pakistan, a terrorist state, which he had earlier said in one of his tweets as the fountainhead of terror, beats my mind, my imagination. I can't think of it. But one thing is clear, that America is not India's friend. The sooner we realize, the better, and Russia is the better bet. But there also you got to hedge your bets. Russia is an ally of China, and when you have to choose between China and India, you can well imagine whom they are going to choose. Well, gentlemen, I will say goodbye. I think this is a very glorious battle, and as per my astrological calculations, a second round is going to take place, and that's going to be worse for Pakistan. And if the Pakis are wise, they will remove General Munir. I think this man is an absolute disgrace to the uniform he wears. I won't dwell more on that further. In the meanwhile, I'll say goodbye. I've given you the summary. Pakistan suffered grievous blows, 90 terrorists killed, nuclear radiation spreading in Pakistan after the Indian attack, and General Munir on a very sticky wicket, and Modi also on a bit of a sticky wicket because he didn't tell the Indian public he's going to fight only for 3 or 4 days, and he didn't tell the Indian public that what was the limited aim of this campaign. It was not to free Baluchistan, it was not to take back POK. Though there were a lot of people talking about it, but this was never the official aim. Gentlemen, the principles of war were thoroughly followed. I think I will close now and say goodbye. Please subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and come back for more. Goodbye, God bless, and Jai Hind.